Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into how the deeply tragic death of Elisa Lam ignited an absolute global internet frenzy. And really, we're going to explore why cold, hard forensic facts so often get buried beneath wild sensationalism. We'll be looking closely at the actual evidence, stuff from the LAPD investigation and the coroner's autopsy, and contrasting that clinical reality with the intense ghost stories and conspiracy theories that completely took over the internet.
So let's just dive right into a core question here. Have you ever wondered why we, as a society, so often reject clinical, biological reality in favor of a cinematic mystery? I mean, in this case, there is a massive delta between what millions of people online thought happened at the Cecil Hotel and what investigators actually proved. To understand what really went down, let's trace the initial investigation timeline. Elisa Lam arrived in Los Angeles on January 26, 2013, and almost immediately her behavior rapidly escalated. By the 28th, she was actually relocated to a private room. Why? Because she was locking her roommates out and demanding secret passwords. Just a few days later, on January 31st, we get that infamous elevator surveillance video that completely captured the world's attention. Tragically, she was never seen alive again.
Now, when online sleuths first watched that grainy elevator footage, they saw paranormal activity, right? They thought she was interacting with a ghost or hiding from some unseen killer. But when clinical psychologists and forensic experts studied those exact same frames, they see something entirely different. They recognize rigid strides, unnaturally splayed fingers, and extreme psychomotor agitation. These physical actions perfectly map onto severe delusions and hallucinations. It's a tragic picture of an active psychotic episode, not some supernatural event.
And this brilliantly illustrates how the internet can just run away with an idea. The dominant online theory was that a hacker or unseen forces were manipulating the elevator, keeping the doors open to trap her. But the mechanical fact? When Lam pressed that massive column of buttons all at once, she inadvertently triggered a programmed door hold command. It's just a standard feature that overrides the doors, keeping them open for several minutes. A simple, provable mechanical truth was twisted into a literal ghost story. But adding fuel to the fire was the video itself. You see, the LAPD released the footage to the public to help find her, but they edited it first. They blurred the time code to protect the timeline for witness interviews, slowed the footage down so people could better identify her face, and cut out about a minute of empty hallway footage. The problem is, the police failed to immediately explain these routine operational edits. They essentially created a massive information void, and amateur web sleuths happily rushed in with claims of a massive police cover-up. All right, moving into Section 1, Forensic and Autopsy Findings, Uncovering the Clinical Truth.
To cut through those cover-up theories, we really have to look at the actual post-mortem examination. When her body was found in the hotel's rooftop water tank after roughly 20 days, early leaks from the autopsy noted blood pooling and partial rectal prolapse. Well, the internet screamed that this was undeniable evidence of a violent sexual assault, but forensic experts entirely debunked this. They explained that extreme abdominal pressure from putresctive gases, which happens naturally during advanced water-based decomposition, forces blood into dependent tissues. It mimics pre-mortem trauma, sure, but it is strictly a post-mortem artifact.
Furthermore, the medical examiner performed a layer-wise neck dissection, and the results? An intact larynx, natural airways, and absolutely no deep muscle hemorrhages. Combined with a total absence of petechial hemorrhages in the eyes or any defensive injuries on her body whatsoever,
investigators firmly ruled out manual strangulation or foul play. The pathological markers pointed strictly and tragically toward an accidental drowning.
So why was she behaving so erratically to begin with? The answer lies in her toxicological profile, which is honestly quite staggering. Elisa had severe bipolar I disorder. Testing of her liver enzymes and heart blood revealed she was actively taking her stimulant antidepressant on the day of her death. But crucially, she had completely ceased taking her antipsychotic medication, quetiapine. On top of that, her mood stabilizer levels were severely subtherapeutic.
This dangerous imbalance leads to a condition called pharmacological uncoupling. In bipolar I patients, if you introduce a central nervous system stimulant, like her antidepressant, without the stabilizing counterweight of an antipsychotic, it is clinically proven to induce a rapid, severe manic switch. This biological reality completely contextualizes her intense descent into manic psychosis, her profound paranoia in the elevator, and tragically, her desperate attempt to seek a dark, enclosed hiding place.
Okay, let's jump to Section 2, Solving the Rooftop Access, Architecture versus Myths.
Now, one of the biggest hurdles the internet just couldn't get past was how she actually got into the water tank without triggering the heavy steel security door's alarm system. Online communities argued it was physically impossible. But LAPD scent dogs actively tracked Lam's scent down the hotel corridors, and the trail ended directly at a specific hallway window. That window connected right to the exterior iron fire escapes. Investigators proved she'd bypassed the alarm doors entirely by climbing through that window and simply scaling the external ladder to the open roof platform.
Once on the roof, she approached the water tanks. And guys, this is perhaps the single most damaging miscommunication of the entire case. Early media reports claimed the heavy 20-pound metal utility hatch was found closed and locked from the outside, meaning a killer had to have trapped her. But sworn court testimony from the hotel maintenance worker who actually discovered her body proved it was wide open the entire time. She simply climbed in.
Let's walk through the heartbreaking reality of what happened inside the tank. First, in a state of acute paranoia, she climbs the exterior ladder and enters the open hatch seeking refuge. Second, as morning breaks and hotel guests start using water, the tank level naturally drops. This effectively removes her only escape route because she can no longer reach the hatch. Third, trapped within smooth steel walls, hypothermia rapidly sets in. And finally, she paradoxically strips off her waterlogged clothing, which is actually a medically recognized physiological reaction to freezing water, before ultimately succumbing to exhaustion.
Which brings us to Section 3, the Lam-Elisa coincidence, apophenia in action.
Just days after she was found, a severe tuberculosis outbreak hit the nearby Skid Row district. This completely unrelated event sparked the most elaborate government bioweapons conspiracy of the whole saga. Why? Well, internet sleuths fixated on the public health test being used, specifically the acronym LAM. But LAM is simply the scientific name, lipoarabinammanin, for a bacterial component used to detect tuberculosis.
Furthermore, the second half of the test name, ELISA, is just a standard, decades-old medical acronym for an enzyme assay technique that's been used in laboratories worldwide since the 1970s.
This brilliantly illustrates the concept of apophenia. That's the human tendency to find meaningful connections between completely random, unrelated things. The linguistic similarity of the Lam-Elisa tuberculosis test to her name, Elisa Lam, was a pure 100% biochemical coincidence. But to the internet, it was undeniable proof of a vast conspiracy. It really highlights how dangerous it becomes when passionate sleuths connect dots that literally just do not exist.
Finally, Section 4, The Dangers of Web Sleuthing, the Sociological Fallout.
We absolutely have to talk about the real-world harm caused by unregulated, crowdsourced investigations that refuse to accept forensic facts. Take a look at the devastating fallout for Mexican heavy metal musician Pablo Vergara. Online sleuths found an old music video of his filmed at the Cecil Hotel. Now, despite the fact that Vergara was physically in Mexico recording music when Elisa disappeared, digital vigilantes falsely accused him of murder. He was flooded with thousands of death threats. His digital platforms were mass-reported and permanently shut down, destroying his livelihood. The sheer weight of this targeted harassment resulted in a severe mental breakdown and a suicide attempt. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final, provocative thought. We've seen the tragedy of severe mental illness, and we've seen how meticulously forensic science can reconstruct the truth from the autopsy and the LAPD investigation.
But when we actively abandon empathy and documented facts just to chase sensationalized internet myths about ghosts and cover-ups, what is the true cost? When the digital crowd decides it prefers an exciting mystery over a tragic reality, who truly pays the price? Think about that the next time a viral conspiracy crosses your feed. Thanks for watching, and keep asking the right questions.